We're going to now discuss the world of Israeli basketball. On the line right now, it's the Sports Rabbi, Josh Halickman. Josh, how you doing out there?
What's going on there, Ari?
It's going great. Now, Maccabi Tel Aviv struggled their first round of the EuroLeague 16 opener. They dropped that in Athens. I want to first talk about Devin Smith because he was out. He was injured. I want to know if you think he could have played, because it sounds like had he been in, that would have been the difference, and they maybe rested him a bit. So talk about the status of Devin Smith.
Now, Devin Smith is a huge cog in the Maccabi Tel Aviv machine. He was out for that game. If he plays, they probably win. They had been winning through three quarters. They were leading, and they fell apart in the fourth quarter. They got some terrific games from some of the other players, which is fantastic, especially Nate Linhart, who was ticketed to be out of here. He scores 18 points. So on one hand, Nate Linhart plays Devin Smith's position, and they did get 18 points out of that spot. However, Devin Smith is just such a professional player and such a good player that it was really too bad that he couldn't play. And I'll tell you this, Ari, Devin Smith is a player that will play hurt. Right. He probably really could not play. And he is a guy that will put all on the line. Without him last year, they would have never made it as far as they did, obviously winning the EuroLeague championship. And this year, especially in the EuroLeague competition, when they went 7-3 in the first 10 games, he is one of the main reasons, if not the main reason, that their record was so good.
Smith, of course, had an ankle sprain. He didn't play. You talked about Linhart, had a great game. And I want to know also the Randall, Tyus, they had some good games as well. Talk about their contributions. Did they look at themselves and say, we have to step up with Devin Smith being out of the lineup?
That's definitely part of it. Alex Tyus also is starting to look like the player we remember from last year. He's starting to shake and bake and swish and dish, and he's cooking with Jeremy Pargo now. It seems that they're reading each other better. He's getting those alley-oop passes. He's getting the ball near the rim. He's playing to his strengths, and that's exactly what they're going to need, especially in this next round of the EuroLeague competition. Brian Randall, some games he's not going to give you so many points, but he gives the intangibles. He gives you rebounds. He gives you good defense. He forces shooters to change their shots. He is a very important player. And it should be noted that Maccabi Tel Aviv also just brought in Joe Alexander from the D-League, and he's only played 3 minutes so far. So it's going to be interesting to see how he's going to play throughout and what their plans are going to be for him. He also may be a big factor. Jake Cohen, we're going to have to see where his minutes will line out with the addition of Joe Alexander. It should be a real interesting run here, Ari, the next few weeks. I'm very curious to see how the team's going to play. They have a big game coming up against Partizan
Red Star Belgrade.
Yeah, Partizan Belgrade, the Red Star Belgrade. It's not Partizan, but Red Star Belgrade. They play them Thursday night. And, of course, there's going to be miserable weather here in Israel. They say lots of snow and rain. So we're going to see. Hopefully that game will go off and be played Thursday night, but we'll have to see. That's a team that Maccabi Tel Aviv should beat, especially at home. I want to see Joe Alexander play. I'm looking forward to it, and we'll see how they take these games. But it was a game that they should have won against Panathinaikos. That was a real downer because they really had that game in the bag, and in the fourth quarter they just fell apart.
Now this Thursday night, the game will be in Nokia, be at home. That game, you said Maccabi should win. I want to know if it's a must-win. If they lose that game, will we see panic again, as we always see when Maccabi loses a couple? They ask for the coach's head. Will Guy Goodes somehow be in trouble if they drop the game on Thursday?
No, at this point he will not be in trouble whatsoever. I think his position is pretty much safe. There should be no issues the rest of the way right now. Even if they really have a miserable go in this next round, they don't make it into the quarterfinals, he will not be let go in the middle of the season. Will something happen after the season? That remains to be seen. But I think right now, even if they lose, his position is safe.
All right, and Joe Alexander, we talked about him briefly last week, and for those who don't know, he's number 8 overall draft pick, I believe back in 2008. What are your expectations? I know he's been banged up and he played in the D-League, but if he can be 70% of his potential, how much of a difference will that make for Maccabi Tel Aviv?
He gives you some good scoring. He can help spread the floor. He has long arms, which are good. He's a decent defensive player. He can show offense. He had a game right before he was signed by Maccabi where I believe he scored 28 points or 35 points. The guy can score. There's no question. Why he didn't make it in the NBA, there's so many players that make it and so many players just don't. Even the high draft picks, it's never a guarantee. You never know where these guys are going to land up, how they're going to play. Maybe his game is just better suited for Europe. That could be it. Maybe we're going to find that out. He definitely came in with a good attitude, a positive attitude, and he knows that he's coming into a team that has a winning religion, and that's important. And he knows he's not coming to some small little European team, but coming to the defending EuroLeague champions, and that's important. So he understands what his standing and his position will be with the team, that he is coming to a champion. He is coming to a team that's going to give, and they always give their foreign players the best. And you will hear any foreign player tell you that Maccabi Tel Aviv is the best team. They take care of them like they're absolute gold. And Josh Alexander, I'm sure, is going to look forward to that. And I think it's a great opportunity for him, and we'll have to see how he produces. But I'm hoping, you never know, maybe this guy finds a spot here in Israel, and he's with Maccabi for the next 8 years. You just never know. Look at Anthony Parker. Who knew? Who knew that he was going to be such a star? He developed so well here in Israel, and then he went back and had an admirable NBA career and finished off in the NBA playing for the Raptors and the Cavaliers. I think that's all you can ask for. And, of course, Anthony Parker was a bit older than Joe Alexander at the time, but probably not very much. But he really resurrected himself and was able to go to the NBA and be a positive player, just like Allen Anderson, who is a player in the NBA these days. He came to Israel. He was only with Maccabi for a year, but still, Allen Anderson paid his dues in Europe, and then went back to the NBA. We'll have to see what happens with Joe Alexander.
All right, Sports Rabbi, last question for you. The game on Thursday, Enokia against Red Star Belgrade. Give us your prediction. You're usually spot on with these predictions, so I want to hear from you. What's going to happen on Thursday?
I think Maccabi Tel Aviv is going to win by about 25 points. I think that this is one of the weakest teams in the group. Maccabi Tel Aviv, with or without Devin Smith, in general, they're starting to gel. Marquise Haynes had a terrific league game with scoring 27 points. So did Jeremy Pargo. He also scored 27 points against Hapoel Eilat. They only won that game by 2, and they were losing going to the fourth quarter. But nevertheless, they did a great job. They did a great job, and they're starting. These guys that they brought in at the beginning of the year are starting to produce. That's going to be the key, and I think even with or without Devin Smith, they're going to really win this game going away.
All right, Sports Rabbi, thanks for your time. Everyone out there listening, if they want to find out more about you and your shows, where should they go to?
Check me out on Twitter at the Sports Rabbi, and that's probably the best place, the easiest place to get to me. Shoot me an email as well, thesportsrabbi@yahoo.com. And remember, folks, Ari Lewis is number 1 in the land, and I wish him the best in all his future endeavors, and he is by far, hands down, the number 1 sports host in this country.
Sports Rabbi, thank you so much for the kind words. Appreciate it as always, and thank you for your time today. We will be in touch, and enjoy the game on Thursday. I know I will as well.
All right, Ari, take care.
Thank you so much. Be well. All right, that was the Sports Rabbi, Josh Halickman, breaking down what's going to happen with Maccabi Tel Aviv. He likes them to win by 25 points on Thursday.